So what I think you should do for the next game, right, is play Trent alongside Pickford in that holding role in the middle of midfield, put Ramsdale in goal, then play 4-2-4. So you got Pickford and Trent holding in the middle of the pitch. They can ping the ball wide, get it into the channels where no one's making any runs. Just fire it in at the corner flag. Leave it there. No one needs to chase it because we don't want to go down the outside. We want to play straight through the middle with near zero width. But if we can put them two in there, got a chance of at least stretching their back four and doing random stuff. Obviously, Gay is out, so you move Kyle Walker to centre half, pick Luke Shaw on one leg, better than what we've got at the minute. Right back, you can put whoever you want back there. You could even play Saka that deep if you like, have him as a wing back because we're really narrow anyway. Remember that. And then again, you just push. You don't drop Rice or Bellingham for Pickford and Trent. No, no, no. You push them on. You move them up the pitch. Play them high. That's
I actually like that idea. I think it reminds me of do you remember Lee Evans when he did a sketch about footballers and he said what they should do is they should have actually he didn't say what they should do. He says what they do is they have the little mascots, the young lads, bring them out onto the pitch to let them know where they need to be. I think actually that would be helpful for us as well if we could do that.
I think that's it's an insight to the man of Gareth Southgate. Anyway, you need to introduce the show because otherwise
Yeah.
people have gone weird.
Hello, everyone. We have not gone, well, we've gone partially mad, only as mad as one can go from watching England and supporting England during this current Euro 2024 campaign. Welcome, everyone. This is the Lenko Show, episode 106. And when we get down into the nitty gritty, today I'm going to be picking Alex's brains about some strength and conditioning stuff for athletes. And one of the things that we are going to focus on is what types of exercises should I be doing to improve my performance in whatever sport. So we will be dissecting Alex's mind and going through that stuff. So make sure you're sticking around for that. But we just couldn't help it. We had to collate some ideas as to what on earth we could possibly do to help England during the Euros. Now, Alex, I actually listened to this was a total accident. This is for all the viewers as well, obviously. I accidentally somehow stumbled across Gary Lineker's podcast. I don't know if you've listened to that with Micah Richards and Alan Shearer. It's all the BBC commentators.
I can't stand the three of them. I think I have seen some of the. I can't remember whether they might have done it in lockdown where they were doing like you rate your top 10 Premier League strikers, central midfield. They were doing all that kind of stuff, and they've. I think the three of them have got to the point where they've got really informal and they almost don't care about what they say. They feel like they can say anything. Like there's very little professionalism in what they do anymore, and I don't like it. I feel like they've gone away from what they need to be. Anyway, carry on.
Okay. I mean, it's a fair assessment. Like I said, I stumbled across this and I was relieved because I was worried during the week that people would see the result or watch the game and be like, the end result is all that matters. And then totally discount and discredit what actually happened on the pitch. And they weren't about that at all. Obviously, they did go through the fact that, we watched the game and it's emotionally traumatic. And at the end of the day, it is the result what counts, but it's absolutely not good enough. And it does need to be better, and it absolutely can be better, etc. And it actually relieves me. How did you feel when Jude Bellingham scored that bicycle kick?
I was going to ask you that exact question. How weird. So at the time, I was eating dinner and Fiona had cooked most of it. I helped out when it was at half time because there was nothing else going on. I mean, I nearly fell asleep during the game, but anyway, I helped out cooking dinner. And, like it was ready sort of midway through the second half. So we sat at the dining table watching the game. Fiona is full on supporting Slovakia, which is really difficult because I'm like, why are you supporting Slovakia? And she went, it'd just be funny if they lost. I was like, well, yeah, it would, but I still don't want us to lose. Like, I'm not going to support the other team. But anyway,
I
uh,
get it. I get it.
yeah, I'm sat there watching. I just think when Foden scored, I just didn't get excited because you could see it was offside by a million miles. I don't understand why that offside took so long.
Yeah.
And again, we weren't playing well. We didn't, I don't think we deserved to actually win. We didn't create enough chances. We didn't have enough moments where we were really high pressure. Declan Rice hit the post. That's probably the best chance that we had, and that was a long range effort. And Yeah, just last throw of the die. And again, Gareth Southgate taking too long with his substitutions, like bringing Ivan Toney on with just, what was it, like 2 minutes left? I don't think he got a kick of the ball in normal time. I don't understand his reluctance to make change. Like this is the big thing where I got switched off because he did the same thing against Italy in the Euros when we were at home in the final, and similar pattern here. You can see which way the game's going just by watching it on TV, and he's got zero ability or bottle to make the big decision and just go, right, three changes, you three go on, change the game for us, change formation, change personnel, change the shape of the team, whatever it is. He just doesn't seem to, he seems to be relatively good at kind of leading a group in terms of saying the right things, organizing people, getting the culture right. But in terms of his skills as a coach, for me, just doesn't cut it. And yeah, when Bellingham scored, I was about to get a final, like a spoonful of chili. And I sat there, I saw it hit the back of the net, saw what was out. I was like, I think I put my spoon down and just breathed. I was like, I didn't know whether to be like excited, depressed, just like delirious, happy, mournful. I almost thought, okay, I've got to watch another half an hour now. That was my gut feel. That was I'll be honest, that was my gut feeling. I sat there and I thought, oh, God, I've got to watch this for another half an hour. And yeah, then obviously we went and scored in, the start of extra time when they were really, I think, probably on the back foot.
And
So
then went back to being shit.
yeah, this is one of the things I can't get excited about it. Like normally, I don't know whether you'd be like this, but you'd be playing the Skinner and Badil and the Lightning Seeds, playing that it's coming home, and I don't know, like thinking that we're going to win it. Be like, oh, is it coming home? Kind of, it's like not a chance, like not even close. And
Yeah.
maybe there's a part of me that thinks and hopes like that's what will happen, just because we are so far off it. I don't know. I don't know. It's just very different, and for me, it's been like watching Man United this season. The entire team seems thrown off kilter because there is no left back. There
Yeah.
is absolutely no left back. So
How would you feel if England went and won it by playing the way that we are playing and it was just like 1-0 wins?
the thing is, when you get to a final, it doesn't matter, does it? It's a one-off game. That's your chance of winning the trophy. And I think when that game comes around, because you know it's going to mean something. I think at the minute, because there's a long way to go, and we feel like we're playing against lower level opposition, which technically they are, but I mean, well organized, well drilled, know the positions well, you know, deserve to arguably even go through against us. It's not an easy game, and um, I think when the final comes around, everything else is off the table. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the form you're in. It doesn't matter how you've been playing and performing. It's 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, penalties, and that's it. So yeah, I don't think I care. I would be just as excited. And then also happy because surely that must be the end for Gareth Southgate. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, but what if it wasn't? What if they win and they're like, well, it obviously works then.
If
That's
we're
my
going to be,
concern. My concern is like the end results is what counts because it is at the end of the day, even though it's been shit.
I don't care. We'll have won a tournament. Don't care. Do not care.
Yeah.
I'll take the win. I'll take if you offer me a 1-0 win in the final right now, I'll take it. Even if it's one shot on target and being pummeled with, the opposition having 20 shots on target, I will take the 1-0 win every single time.
Yeah, I would take the win, but I'm not sure I could deal with the repercussions of what happens to the squad thereafter. Like, does he stay in charge? Does it go on for longer?
I won't care. I won't care. But 2 years till the World Cup comes around, sort it out. That's above our pay grade. We don't need to worry about it. We just have to be along for the ride. That's the thing. Everyone gets so irate. The conversations that you have with people, and you see the pundits getting into arguments about who should play and where, and it's like, oh, I don't think that, and like you can see them getting aggy with each other. It's like, bro, you disagree. It's fine. You've got a different opinion to him, and at the end of the day, neither of you are responsible for picking the fucking team, so it doesn't matter. So just chill.
Well, at top level, teams will absolutely be going through the performances and watching footage, blah blah blah. Um, I think that's the first one today. I think it would be really, really fun or entertaining. You know how they do like fan zones where you get like super fans watching the games and stuff? I would love for us to just sit down one day with the England squad and play the whole game again from start to finish. Because every 2 to 5 seconds, you can pause and go, right, what the fuck were you doing here? Why were you stood here instead of moving over here? Why did you play that pass over there? Why did you do you see what I mean? They're doing some level of that, going through it and they're like, this was shit. This was shit. Do you think?
Well,
Maybe not in those words, because obviously it, they might not take it too well if it's just
well,
that.
I mean, there will be some performance review and analysis, and I feel like if I was to do that with him, it'd take me a week to get through a game. I don't know if you remember.
Is it? There's mistakes, and I get there's always little mistakes, but big mistakes, dumb mistakes, stupid mistakes every 5 seconds of the game.
But
It's disgusting.
it's
Makes
not
me
just
sick.
that. It's the simple things that you think like normally all footballers would do and should do. Like I'd just be pausing as soon as the ball gets played from John Stones out to Kyle Walker. I pause it and go, right, why don't you look at where Bukayo Saka is? Maybe try giving him the ball now and again.
Yeah,
Take a touch, bring it to the outside, play it down the line, slide it through the channel. And Bukayo, why don't you look at actually running behind the fullback rather than just dropping onto his toes all the time? Maybe run beyond your man. Again, run through the channels. And same thing, Declan Rice. When you get the ball played into you, why not dink one round the corner? Why not get Saka running? Foden,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe try having a dribble down the outside. Go and stand on the touchline for 5 minutes. Stretch the other team.
I actually think with how we're playing and how difficult we're finding it to actually play through the channels and dissect the other team. Like it seems like we're trying to get into the 6 yard box to score. I actually think one of the things we need to start doing is just hitting shots from outside the box. I was saying this all along, and then Declan Rice finally did it and he hit the post. If you've got Harry Kane up front, which he's clearly like Southgate is just set on having him there, even though he's doing fuck all because he's just not getting the ball. Like hit shots from outside the box. If it hits the post and comes out, there's a 50-50 chance Harry Kane will be there to finish it. Like, have some shots instead of going out wide and then coming back again and then going across really slowly and then coming back again and then losing it and then going all the way back. Like, if Trippier's going to cut inside every time, maybe have a fucking shot. Just hit it towards the net. Do you remember? Obviously, I remember this because I was a big Antonio Valencia fan. There was a large part of his Manchester United career where he would just bomb it down the wing. And let's be honest, it wasn't a cross. He was just twatting it towards the far post.
Yeah,
And he
I
used to score
remember.
goals. He used to score goals by just smashing it towards the far post. It was outrageous. And if the keeper hits it and he's hit it hard enough, he'll drop it, or there'll be a striker there, or it hits the post, or it comes off a defender, and it's in the mixer. I'd love to see that. I'd love to, rather than the shite crosses that we've been doing against teams that are bigger and more physical than us.
What would you do for your starting 11 for the next game?
Oh, Jesus Christ, don't ask me that. I'd play 3-6 1. 3-6-1. What would I do? That's a good question. I don't know. You go first.
Um, I'd put Trent at right back in his natural habitat. It's like putting I was gonna say putting a panda in a zoo. That's not right. I just put him back in his natural habitat where he's at home, right back, play the ball out wide to him, let him stretch the play, let him feed balls down the line, hit crossfield passes. Again, if we're going to be in positions of high pressure, if we can work the ball out wide to him and just get him to whip crosses in, that'd be ideal for us. I think I would move Kyle Walker across the centre back because Mark Gay can't play. I assume you would have to play Luke Shaw. I think he has to be near some level of fitness to bring some sort of balance to the team. Beyond that, you're just going to have to pick someone else at left back. or even put Kyle Walker there and play someone else at centre back. I think that's got to be the combination. But preferably Trent at right back, Luke Shaw at left back. And then I wouldn't really change too much. I would still keep those two in midfield of Cobby and Declan Rice, uh, Jude Bellingham in the 10, and then Foden, Kane, and I would actually start Cole Palmer in this next one. There is also in my head, and this is the other thing that I think Gareth could do. He won't do because he's not very creative, I don't think. But he could just play Declan and Bellingham alongside each other, go Foden on the left, allow that space for Foden to drift in, especially if you've got Luke Shaw at left back. So essentially, I would go 4-4-2 with Palmer on the right, and I would actually go Kane and Tony up front together to start, just for a bit of shock and awe tactic, bodies in the box, especially if you've got Trent at right back. I think there's worse things that you can do. And if it doesn't work after the first hour, you look to rebalance it. You can bring Tony off. You can put Mainu on. You can change the midfield. Anyway, I feel like this is one of Gareth's problems. Is there's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of options, and he's not really sure how to piece everyone together.
Yeah.
But I think that what I said first, I would go with that as number one, and then that potential 4-4-2 as a bit of a side option.
Where are you putting Palmer? Are you putting him on the right?
Yeah. Or you could even look to do it as a 4-3-3. This is the thing. You could even look to do that as a 4-3-3 with Tony, Kane, Palmer as your front three. I don't think that'd particularly work because they probably all want to play quite narrow or in the channel. Yeah, I would stick with formation that he's got for now. Rice, Mainu, Bellingham in the 10, and then three up top, Palmer, Kane, and Foden.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Because he seems to like that system. So, yeah, I think that back.
What a fucking system that is.
On,
If
on,
there is even a system.
honestly, I think the biggest problem is that left back position. We've got to get that. Because at the minute, the team is just so off balance.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Don't really know how he fixed that. He went with the squad that he went with. Like, stupid if you ask me, but oh well. Oh well.
Yeah, I can't believe in the whole of the United Kingdom or whole of England, probably one of the biggest footballing nations on the planet, with everybody growing up kicking a ball more or less, and we haven't got another left back. Beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. Anyway, carry on.
It's not like he didn't know that when he picked the squad. Like he knew that and he went with that anyway. He decided, I'm gonna take Luke Shaw, not played him, seen that it's like a big weakness for us, but still not played him. Like what? It's frustrating because in my head it makes me think like
He's not been fit.
yeah, but so what is he? What's his plan? What's his plan? Is his plan to get as far as we can? Let's say we get to the final, and then he's going to put Luke Shaw on.
No, I think he was hoping that he would be fit.
First game. Eh?
I think he was hoping that he would be fit. I think he was hoping that he would have played by now. He would have been okay to.
Yeah, I know. I did hear what you said, but it refers me back to 2 podcasts ago when you said hope is not a strategy. It's fucking stupid. It's stupid. It's like saying, well, I hope that Ronaldo is going to be injured.
I think
No,
it's a gamble to take, to use a spot in the squad for someone who isn't fit, in the anticipation that they might be okay at some point towards the latter stages. You never know; it could be a masterstroke. Anyway, should we get on with the performance checks? We've spent like 20 odd minutes talking about England so far, and it's dreary as fuck thinking about it. So,
yeah, I bet we've just bored the fucking drained all of the listeners. Okay, so listeners, we're going to get on some strength and conditioning stuff now. We're going to ask Alex some questions. So, Alex Lebowski, with all your knowledge and experience, the question for today is what types of exercises, and we can hone in on some specific exercises, should I focus on to enhance my performance in my sports?
so the first question I kind of have to ask back is, what sport are you talking about? So should we just go with field-based sports like American football, rugby, football, for example?
Yeah.
So let's do that. And then let's say I mean, this is where it gets difficult because it's not a blanket prescription answer. So it depends what your goals are, what phase of the season you're in, um, what your ambitions for the season are, the point of your athletic development. It's very, very difficult to just pinpoint, here you go, just do this. But I would say, as kind of an overall guide, you need to be playing your sport more than anything. So once you go through your early phase of kind of general participation, development, learning different skills, learning different games, learning different tactics and strategies through, so like, let's say age 14, 15, for example. At that point, you need to start to specialize because specialization is one of the kind of cornerstones to elite peak performance and being able to hit that 0.1% level. Like you have to specialize at some point. Typically, the earlier you do it, the more likely you are to get results. But for overall athletic development, again, depending on the sport, American football, you get a lot of general specialization that tends to do really, really well because they've got different movement patterns, ball tracking, hand-eye coordination. Especially if they've done loads of different throwing sports. And again, it's one of those collision sports where you are just going to get banged up. So the longer you play, the shorter the shelf. Eventually, your time is going to come to an end. It's not necessarily the shorter your shelf life, but if you do nothing but American football, you are going to limit yourself in terms of general athletic development. So think sort of speed qualities. One of the best things that you could do is track and field. Be a good runner. Be an incredibly good runner because the majority of the sports you play are going to be done on your feet, having to sprint, having to change direction. Just be a really good runner to start with to form that base. Then I think once you've once you've gone through that foundational phase and you've developed that all-round athleticism, you need to be strong. You need to be strong to make you resilient to injury. And that's something that you can work on all the way through. Learn to lift. So we've got classes in the gym where, it's targeted towards teenagers, younger kids, and they can learn various different movement patterns, become more resilient to them, and implement those into the training. So I would typically say sport comes first, then probably the two side by side. And I think this is the key for power development is that you have to have that bracket of speed and then strength. And that as a combination is going to result in your power and being as powerful as possible. And then it depends on your position as to what exercises and what specifics and intricacies you're going to do. So if I was to write out sort of a general training week, if I go with sort of, I'll just use myself as an example. So we play on a Sunday. If we haven't got a game, we will train. Then Monday will be off, just rest and recovery, chill out. If you haven't played much or you haven't featured much, I would say go and do a full body training session. Include jumping, include sprinting in relatively low volumes so that you can repeat again the next day. I'm just trying to take notes while I'm writing this out as well.
I'm taking notes. I'll recap all of it and ask you about all of it for my notes anyway.
So Monday off if you've played lots and you need to let your body rest and recover. Then typically Tuesday, I would go. What would I want to do? I would either go with a max effort lower body session, so low volume, really, really high intensity. You're talking, sets of 5 to 8 with reps of like 2 to 3, maybe even dipping into the ones now and again, but really, really low volume across the board, like not just bashing yourself up. And then throw into there. So for the max effort, you would be looking at like a squat variation or a deadlift variation, and add in some short accessories, and I would probably include, in fact, no, I definitely would include some core work and some conditioning work, which would again be short, fast intervals. Then Wednesday for me is a training day. So most of the day, or a team training day. So most of the day is just spent sort of chilling around. I'll either do an upper body session or just a bit of CV work. Then Thursday, go with a lower body dynamic effort day. So that would be again always sprint, some form of acceleration or even top end work. I've generally flip flop that between what I do on the Tuesday as well. So if on Tuesday I've done uh, max effort acceleration working for about 10 meters or so, Thursday would be a little bit longer. So you'd be going sort of like say a flying sprint from a 10-yard build up and then maintaining top speed for about 30 yards, 30 meters. Again, all that position specific, so you can change that. Then it includes some form of jump. So a lot of this is very plyometric based. So loads of pogos, loads of ankle stability work, loads of high speed and low weight. So again, similar volume. So low volume. We're not just going to crank out a ton of volume. We're not trying to necessarily build loads of muscle mass. This is just purely about speed and power. So that'd be the dynamic effort day. Then Friday would be an upper body day. So again, just give the legs off. Go and do some. I've generally go out for a walk, do some breathing exercises, chill out with the dog, and then go max effort upper body. Get a bit of a pump on. Do some stuff that's generally quite fun and I say relaxing, but enjoyable as a training session. Don't look at your plan and go, ugh, feel sick looking at that. Don't want to touch it. You can typically train your upper body as a bodybuilder would to kind of bulletproof your shoulders, protect your back, create loads of stability around those joints, maintain range of movement. If you are a high velocity sport with regards to upper body movements, then I would kind of flip it and do the dynamic effort day towards the end of the week leading into a game. So that would be, high speed throws, things like that. Then on the Saturday, again, like relatively chilled, do some skill specific stuff, um, do some game prep. Definitely include neural primer work, which is just focusing on getting the nervous system up to speed and getting the central nervous system firing. So things like a small circuit. I've talked about this on the podcast before, where you're doing 4 to 6 rounds, full body work. You might include a 10-meter sprint, give yourself 20 to 30 seconds rest, do 5 box jumps, 20 to 30 seconds rest, do some med ball slams, 20 to 30 seconds rest. Do some plyo push-ups, 20 to 30 seconds, like simple exercises, typically bodyweight stuff, focusing on speed and power. And then the idea with that is that you stop before you go in, before you get tired. So stop before you exhaust yourself. You shouldn't be completely out of breath. You shouldn't feel weak. You shouldn't feel slow. As soon as anything feels like you're starting to slow down, you've done enough. This kind of ties in with the principle of we want to be working around that 90% plus threshold for like peak power output.
Okay, so lots of insightful stuff there. What I want to do is you already answered some of these questions anyway, but we're going to dissect it further just to make sure people understand. I did write a couple of jokes as well. I'll throw them out at some point. But one of the first things that you said in terms of development is to participate in the sport as much as possible. Well, you didn't actually say as much as possible, which actually leads me into the question. You said in order to get better at the sport, you need to be doing the sport. So my question is, and I'm sure other people would like to know, how many times is there a perfect threshold for how many times you want to participate in the sport, if possible? Is there a trade-off if you do it, say, 7 times a week, 6 times a week? What are your thoughts? What are your opinions?
Realistically, if you're looking to be a professional, you need, I would personally, if you're a young kid, you need to be doing it every day. The more often, the better. Short, sharp sessions. I hate that saying, but short, intense sessions with a distinct focus. There's loads of good technology out now to help kids with this kind of thing, whether it's using virtual reality. I know there's some cameras that you can kind of set up on the top of your TV to kind of direct you to like footwork patterns with a football and different drills you can do. There's plenty of coaches out there that have got tutorials on do this with your ball work and just practice. Like if you want to be a really good footballer, go and spend every waking moment of your life with a football at your feet.
Yeah. So
Even,
what you're saying is
even
if you
different types of balls. I know Dimitar Berbatov talked about when he was growing up. He had a killer first touch, like one of the best first touches you've ever seen anybody play with in your entire life. Like unbelievable. The ball was like glued to his foot. But he used to, I think he had a basketball, something like that. That was all he had. They didn't have football, they had a basketball, and he just played football with that. So have a ball at your feet every waking moment. Do random things with it, try things with it, have a plan with it as well. Practice specific things. If you're gonna, if you want to be a really good goal scorer, you got to practice finishing, you got to practice shooting, scoring from different angles, putting it in different corners from different positions. You've got to touch everything.
Yeah, so I think it ties into the next question, which I was going to say, are you saying we need to do specific drills and skills? But I guess your answer there is you don't actually need to do specific skills and drills because naturally they will come into you participating. So if you are playing, whether it's in a small sided game, playing with your mates, or just doing it by yourself, you will end up doing and imitating certain things that would happen in game situations anyway. So by default, you are doing those things, you're getting better.
Yeah, combination. I think small sided games play is always going to be a big one because it gives you a chance to practice specific skills or practice skills in a kind of a condensed space where you're going to get more touches, you're going to see more of the ball. I think what you then need as a coach is to be able to see a specific game, see something specific happening. For instance, if a player gets the ball and every time the first touch is back inside or across himself, you might then take that player out and go, right, we're going to do a drill now where the ball's going to come into you. And I want you to open up with your first touch rather than close yourself down, open up the pitch and practice that, keep practicing it, and then take it into a game. So you want to see the performance, take an element from it, go, right, okay, I want you to work on this now, bring them out, do the drill, take them back in and implement it from there. You have to, and that's what coaching is. Coaching is about making you better at your sport, not better at a specific single task. So for me, if one of my players needs more lower body strength, well, in his program there might be back squats, for example, and there's nothing wrong with back squatting. But if I go, right, well, your back squat doesn't look great, you're not getting ass to grass. So what I'm going to do is really loosen up your ankles, increase your mobility there. Have I actually helped the player with his performance, or have I just got him better at squatting? Because they're two very different things. So he might have really, really stiff, stable ankles, which make him incredibly effective at sprinting, accelerating, cutting, changing direction, and putting the brakes on. But if I then go, right, okay, let's loosen that joint up a little bit. Hey, you've got nothing going on there. Look, now you can squat ass to grass using half the weight you had before when you were going heavy, but half the range. But at least you're going full depth now. I've not actually made him better at anything. And I can go, right, well, your actual squat is 100 and not 160 because now you're going full range. That's a squat versus if I'd have gone, right, okay, well, we're just going to stick with half rep range squats. Let's push the weight. Let's try and get you 170, 180, maybe 200. And we'll continue to work with that because your ankles are stiff and stable for that purpose. They're protecting and they're also helping you impart force into the ground.
Yeah, so we've gone into the next question now, which was going to be about when you said about specialization. So this is why I'm guessing you said that was important. It's you're then able to make those changes and well, obviously you're saying about specialization, you can now identify, okay, now I don't need to be back squatting ass to grass all the way to the floor because it's not going to improve my athletic performance in the game situations and scenarios any more so than doing what what you've been prescribed to do, etc. So you said about obviously earlier specialization is better. I know you've kind of already touched on this, but can you just clarify for everyone else again why you think that is the case?
It's just what the research says. It's just exactly that. It's just what the research says. It's just the vast majority of people who specialize in a single sport from a very young age end up winning more gold medals than people who don't. You can't argue with it. Like if you think about it, Ronaldo didn't play tennis as a kid. I mean, he might have had a bit of a mess around, but he was probably more likely to start playing football with the tennis ball than he was whacking it around with a racket. Did he ever play cricket? Doubt it. Bet he never went on a rugby field. Lionel Messi, what do you think he did as a kid? Grew up at Barcelona, football all day, every day. These people are like the Williams sisters, grew up with tennis rackets glued to their hands pretty much.
It's
The
true.
only things they probably put them down for was to go to school and do the schoolwork. So if you want it, like for parents out there, if you want a world class elite sports person as a child, just make them do that thing all day, every day, again and again and again. Manage their workload so they don't get bored or they don't find it not enjoyable. Keep it fun, keep it exciting, keep it interesting, but have them just do that one sport.
Yeah, so this is where we need to talk about the key differences in terms of obviously the question was improving athletic ability for your sport, not health and longevity. We've mentioned this before, like the lines are quite tight, but there is a difference between training specifically for health and longevity and then training specifically for a performance goal. And I think I've mentioned to you before, Alex, about the continuum where it shows obviously there's untrained, then there's trained, then there's fitness, and there's sickness. And sickness is as close to untrained as it is to like elite level athletes because you are making sacrifices and you are going wholeheartedly into your sport. And as it were, as we've said about participating in your sport and doing it as frequently as you can, unfortunately, it means because you're pushing to be as good as you possibly can be, you're more likely to succumb to injuries and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but that's the nature of the beast, isn't it?
interestingly, I had this question yesterday with a client. She asked me, "Do you enjoy training?" I said,
Not
"No,
really.
I don't." Like it's incredibly stressful. It's incredibly hard. Like I'm struggling to walk today because I've got serious DOMs. Like when you go to sit on the toilet and you're like, oh man, I might not get up.
Yeah.
Training itself is incredibly stressful. It is incredibly difficult. You are essentially ruining your body in the knowledge that it is going to make you better. As long as you nail your recovery, you will be better. You will be stronger. You will be faster. You'll be more powerful for it. However, exercise is enjoyable.
Yeah.
I do enjoy exercise. Like if I did, just well, for example, take my dog out for a run in the morning, keeping my heart rate less than 130, definitely less than 140. Relatively easy plod. It's not horrendous distance. It's 30 to 40 minutes, low intensity. I can breathe. I'm not, puking up blood. It's not disgusting. It's just being out in the fresh air, taking the dog for a plod. That's enjoyable. If I was to go, right, I'm going to run some intervals now to try and improve my 5K time, and I'm going to do 1 kilometer efforts at a 3 minute 15 pace, that would have my guts coming. Like that would not be an enjoyable session. That is training versus exercising, which is just go out, take the dog for a run, go out for a walk, practice nasal breathing. That's it. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're two very simple differences.
So I actually put on my story on Instagram the other day, to which you really kindly responded. Which one is more difficult, CrossFit, high rocks, or bodybuilding? And Alex's response, ladies and gentlemen, was none, they're all gay, or something along those lines. So my response to people that voted for specific ones, and I'll say this on the podcast as well for everyone for a bit of insight, is it's whichever one you're willing to actually involve yourself more in. So to me, bodybuilding is like I just wouldn't really touch it anymore. But I spent a long time doing that kind of training and it was more fun. So you could say, well, the training's more fun. But if you're going to try and become an elite level bodybuilder and take it really, really seriously, it becomes way more difficult. It's the same for CrossFit. It's the same for High Rocks. It's the same for American football. It's the same for golf. If you're just going to dabble in it and play at it and do exercise, it's not that hard. It's probably a little bit enjoyable. Whereas when you're actually going to wholly involve yourself and try and hone the craft and deliberately work very, very hard at improving yourself, the lines are very different. And now it is not as enjoyable, probably, when you're actually doing your day-to-day stuff. Because it becomes a means of now I have to do this, like this is all leading up towards an end goal, etc. And it doesn't really matter the way you feel day to day. And you have to learn certain skills, change certain things, continually try and get better. So it's not the specific discipline itself, it's everything that you decide to do in order to get better at it will determine the difficulty of it. And it goes with any sport, and it's how far are you willing to involve yourself in it in that discipline.
Yeah. The further you want to go, the harder you have to push and the more aggressive you have to be with it. You have to take, I would say, take more risks. You have to commit to it more full bodied. Like if you wanted to be a world class bodybuilder, you need to be probably on steroids. No, you need to be on steroids. You need to be
Okay.
every single thing you eat needs to be dedicated towards building more muscle mass. Every single thing you do in terms of your physical activity needs to be dedicated towards building more muscle mass. Like every part of your being has to be committed to that one goal if you want to be world class at anything. Just to kind of sum up, because I know we need to break off in a minute, but if I was to say take a typical template for off-season training, if you were to go, right, we're going to go, can train 6 days a week, we'll leave a couple of sessions in for sports stuff, one-to-one work. I would go 3 strength sessions or 3 gym sessions where you're focusing on building strength, building size, putting on some muscle mass, and developing the physical qualities that you need for sport, whether it's tendon strength or if it is more muscle mass in a specific area. Dedicate 3 days of your program towards that. Have 2 days specifically for speed. So this would either be some dynamic effort work in the gym, like I said before, with some accelerations to start with or some flying sprints to start with, then work through some dynamic based gym work, which includes plyometrics, box jumps, etc. You can have your sprint sessions on those days and then have another day where you are taking care of your cardiovascular system. So that is kind of like the 3-2-1 training system. And then the only thing that I would do is in season, I think just to keep it really, really simple, there's way more to it than this. But let's say in season, you might be playing at least one game a week, maybe 2, possibly even 3 across the span of 7 or 8 days sometimes. What I would do in that situation is drastically reduce the volume on those speed days. So you're still getting 2 speed days. You're still getting 2 dynamic effort days with really low volume, as much as you can tolerate, because you need to be able to recover from it. Then, in terms of your strength days, you're possibly looking at doing 1 or maybe 2 high strength days, again, with low to moderate volume where you can 100% recover from it. And that might literally look like going into the gym and just doing leg presses, going really, really low on the volume. Like pick one exercise, just go and push as much force out as you possibly can on that. Do some overcoming isometrics, work some leg presses or belt squats or box squats, that kind of thing, where you're not focusing on pushing your joints through extreme range, which is going to potentially increase muscle damage and more wear and tear. I would certainly certainly recommend isometrics as a way of training in season, by the way, 100%. And then you probably don't need your conditioning day in that week because you'll be training multiple times through the week with your sport. Then you're playing your game. So you don't need more conditioning. What you do need to do is maintain your speed and your strength. And that, I would just say, plug that in on the days where you feel relatively fresh, control the volume, make sure you're able to recover from it afterwards. So hopefully that answers the question for you, gives you a bit more guidance and understanding.
There you go, people. A full weekly breakdown of how to improve your athletic ability in order to improve your performance in your sport. Don't say we don't do nice things for you. Plus, we also had a good rant about the England football team who have been shite, just to tell you one more time.
Who are you,
Cool.
Gary Lineker? That's what he said. Did he say that? Did he say that they'd been shy? Did he describe him as that?
Did he?
I think he did on his podcast. And I think we all probably believe that. We all probably know that. We can all see it. But I would say bear in mind, like they're not trying to play badly. They're not trying to get beat. They're not trying to go home and go on the summer holidays early. Like they want to win this tournament. I heard someone on the radio the other day. He was a presenter. He was talking about, they don't care. They're overpaid. They're this, that, the other. And it's like, bro, you don't get to that level of the sport, to this level of competition, if you don't care. Like, go and boil your head. Like, of course they care, and of course they want to win. You think they want to be coming home and letting everybody down and letting themselves down, letting the families down, letting the parents, like, not a chance. Not a chance. They wouldn't have, if they can win this tournament, they could not be prouder.
Well, I don't know about that now, but fair enough. Okay, people, this has been episode 106. You can have your own opinions about England or about any other teams. We hope you have enjoyed.
But just as a final note, when it comes to England, just relax. Just relax. I don't overdo with your expectations. Like I heard, for as bad as we've been, Gary Neville was predicting that we'd go and win like 2-0 or 3-0 against Slovakia. On what planet? Just relax. Just imagine 90 minutes against Switzerland, 0-0, right where we want them. Extra time, 120 minutes, 0-0. We've still got 5 subs to bring on. Right where we want them.
Well, on that rather fruitful note, I really do need to go. So, well done, everyone. Peace, love, and protein. Thank you for listening. Lenko out.
Cheers, guys.